Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Road to Red Bull Wololo Legacy September Weeklies. It's week number 3, and we've got the semi-final here. It's going to be Wham in the southwest corner of the map, playing in red as the Delhi Sultanate, and his opponent in this semi-final will be DeMusliM, representing Team Liquid, in blue as the Holy Roman Empire, with the map being Lipini in a best of 3. Let's take a look at the graphic, because this is one of 2 semi-finals, of course. Wham versus DeMusliM, and that's going to be followed up with Vortex versus Marine Lord. And the 2 winners from these 2 sets will face off against each other in the grand final for this September weekly. And of course, we're going to be having some great games here with the Delhi versus Holy Roman Empire to kick us off here in this semi-final on Lipini. Interesting picks here in terms of civilizations. We don't see the Holy Roman Empire on this map all that much, but Holy Roman Empire, one of those civilizations that can be generally very strong on any map. As we see the Arkan Chapel being the landmark of choice for DeMusliM, no surprises there. Going to be inspiring the villagers on food, gold, and the wood. The prelate, of course, doing that inspirational work, increasing the efficiency of the villagers by 40%. That's no joke. Certainly a strong eco bonus that the Holy Roman Empire have. The Delhi Sultanate will be looking to actually make some inroads in feudal age, looking to maybe secure some sacred sites, get some gold in, come that way, and really make it a bit more difficult for the Holy Roman Empire. With those elephants in Castle Age, the Delhi Sultanate can kind of thrive in that situation. But of course, the Holy Roman Empire can get to that Castle Age incredibly fast, probably the fastest of any civilization. Especially once the prelate has its inspirational work being done, as you can see is the case here. Interestingly enough, though, the inspiration on the wood won't necessarily last that long from the Arkan Chapel, because of course, once the villagers... yeah, you can see DeMusliM here just getting the villagers in the inspiration. You might be wondering what is DeMusliM doing there, but he's making sure the villagers are being inspired by the landmark. Villagers, when they deposit off, I'm not sure they're quite in range, and that's a bit of a bummer there. I'm not sure if they're getting inspired when they drop off on the wood. That's a bit not really what he would want, but if he's going for fast castle, the main thing is that he has access to food and gold. Of course, he's going quite heavy on wood because he needs his production buildings. The Delhi Sultanate are known to be aggressive in the feudal age, of course, and they do have efficient production, which is a technology from the mosque which enables the scholars to garrison inside the buildings. As you can see, there's a 1 out of 1 there. That means there's a scholar garrison inside there. Makes the building produce twice as fast. The spears will be coming out double time as he starts to now secure that central sacred site. As we see a barracks, double barracks here coming out from DeMusliM, so perhaps not going to be all that fast of a fast castle. He wants a bit of military on the field. He needs to be careful, of course, because of course with the Delhi Sultanate, they can often mass quite an army in the feudal age. But this is rather interesting. DeMusliM kind of fighting fire with fire, using the spears, not going for any archers himself as a counter unit to the spears. There's no stable there for Wham either, so it's not like it's in a reaction as a counter unit. But I mean, it's a nice play here for DeMusliM in one way, because he could be going for man-at-arms, and that is indeed the case. So they're going to go for a bit of a feudal age play, which is not all that often expected from the Holy Roman Empire, but is in some way kind of forced into it, because he won't want to let the Delhi Sultanate just build up a map control, which they are slowly starting to do actually with the sacred site secure. So once Sanctity does come in for the Delhi Sultanate, which is the unique tech for the Delhi Sultanate, allowing scholars to capture sacred sites before the Castle Age, i.e. in the feudal age, and the sacred sites generate 50% more gold, so it'll be 150 gold per sacred site, and that is a lot of gold coming in passively if they can be captured. Going to be a second town centre placed here by Delhi Sultanate. We don't often see this very often. And this is probably one of those matches we will want to analyse after the game, because, again, Delhi Sultanate, 2 town centre play in the feudal age is not often expected, but this could be a very interesting play, because DeMuslim's not going for the Castle Age, and so this is not going to be punished. Not in any huge way, at least. Of course, the feudal age kind of economy for the Holy Roman Empire will be pretty impressive with the prelate, but a lot of villagers here not being inspired in that wood line. Now transitioning to get that mill, looking to perhaps get that wheelbarrow in action. But blacksmith is there as well, so the man-at-arms will be popping out. Now the feudal age man-at-arms are pretty decent, but they're not sort of terribly difficult to counter and deal with. The spear's doing a pretty decent job, bit of damage there. Of course, ideally you would want some archers to kite this, but of course with the Holy Roman Empire, if they get marching drills, that can certainly become a problem, and that's exactly what's going to be happening. The movement speed of those infantry is going to be increased by 10%, and it's not just the infantry, it's going to be the religious units, i.e. the prelates as well, as the spears do try and wall that up again, but DeMusliM has some units in, they're walled in. For now, at least. And the west side sacred site has been captured by the Delhi Sultanate. DeMusliM keeping a scout there. He'll know about the second town centre now. Will DeMusliM look to go for the castle age or a second town centre himself? He's kind of forced into that decision making now. We shall see what he decides to do in game number 1. And he doesn't have any villages on stone, so it feels like it's just going to commit to the feudal age. Let's take a look at his resources. Quite a few villages on food, 17. 9 of them on the berries and the rest on sheep. Some of them look to be kind of idle there. Yep, they are idle. They are fixed now. As DeMusliM breaks through this wall in the center of sacred site, but look at this on the right, sacred site has been capped, but is now being decapped by DeMusliM, so like a decent amount of gold will be coming in for WAM here. At least 150 gold per minute. Does have 5 villages on gold as well, so will simply easily be able to maintain production of those scholars, and he's not being pressured in the feudal age at all, getting an outpost for some defense with Aristotle as well, just protecting that second town center. Just in case it's pushed off it, and it does look like the Muslims kind of caught in 2 mines. In fact, no, he's just going to go for full feudal age aggression, and tricky part for him is that he's kind of on a timer, and it's really awkward to say that about the Holy Roman Empire, because it's usually the other way around. It's usually HRE putting the opponent on a timer because of capturing those relics, but actually WAM's Delhi Sultanate, in this case, be itching towards that castle age despite having 2 town centers. And you know, we talked about the economy bonuses that the Holy Roman Empire get, but don't forget that the Delhi Sultanate do have access to these upgrades for free. They're just coming in now, and so he's got wheelbarrows, getting horticulture, and they're all for free. Of course, the Muslim only getting wheelbarrow now, doesn't have double broad axe either, so the economy is going to get even stronger here. Scholar gets away with it just about, manages to run away, increases the sight range by 100%. He will get bonus to that. He'll have a new pair of eyes, essentially, as we now start to have a bit of a village lead, I suspect. DeMusliM with 35, 42 for WAM, and the really key issue is that I think WAM is going up to the next stage. He is indeed. He's going with the House of Learning, probably looking to get honed blades, which will be increasing the quality of his units here. The stables, they're being supervised as well. Look, you can see scholars are inside them. He's effectively got 4 stables already, and a 5th one coming up right now, and be a large knight player. And this is an issue though for WAM. He needs to hold off here if he can, because a lot of man-at-arms and the rams will be making short work of that outpost, and the village is going to have to escape on the west side. This is a bit of a concern for WAM, but reaching the castle age himself, if he can survive for as long as he can, if he can just hold this position again for as long as he can. Oh, good amount of torch damage on that ram. He needs to survive, get to that castle age, and start pumping out those lancers. Doesn't really have that much in the way of food though. That's a bit concerning for him. A lot of his food economy is here on the west side, of course. That town centre will go down. But of course, DeMusliM has hard committed to the feudal age. 44 villagers for WAM, 38 for DeMusliM, but of course it's more the idle time that's been caused here. The villagers have to make a run for it. Forced march in play for DeMusliM, so they'll be able to chase 1 or 2 of those down perhaps. But you can hear the jingle jangle. Relics being picked up. That's pretty huge. Those relics get picked up. That'd be really, really good for WAM, getting that gold income trickling. Man, I'm just gonna head in. Wololo going off, and probably, oh, it might get a man-at-arm. Just about does, yep, indeed. But the key issue is that WAM needs to survive. If he survives with castle age units here on the field, his man-at-arms are tanky, but they're only feudal age tanky. Trouble for WAM is struggling on the food at this point, because a lot of the eco has been idled. As you can see here, trying to head towards those berries. Those 3 villages will perish. And I'm not sure if he has a market, so WAM will be able to actually buy some food. He'll be taking down a man-at-arms with the villagers themselves. There's just 1 town centre each though. Looks like DeMusliM eyeing up that castle. It's got a lot of villagers on that gold vein. Not enough on food really, you feel. The Lancers do head towards that man-at-arms mass. Will they get a Wololo there, WAM? Not going to be sure about that. Scholar trying to get the relic inside. Might just about make it inside. We shall see. It's going to be a close one. I don't think so, actually. Gets pipped to the post. I think there might even be spearman in there. There is indeed. Ooh, Scholar tries to pick it up from the mosque, and they're mostly going to try and torch this down. This is a bit of an issue here for WAM. Trying to hold him as long as he can. Bringing in relics. Doesn't really actually have one in just yet. He's getting... Oh, hasn't clicked home blades as well. That's a concern. Bit of an oversight there. Sacred sites on the right side being captured. Left side one being decapped right now. Let's take a look at the village account. But look at the idle time, 11 villages idle, 43 in total for Wham, but 11 of them idle, 12 of them. And DeMusliM getting great value at this point. DeMusliM still in the feudal age, struggling to get that castle age. 2 relics are in play now. And that's quite a big deal because the Holy Roman Empire really quite thrive on getting the relics. So I suspect likely to be potentially a... Well, it's actually going to go for the Regnitz Cathedral. We can get some relics. That would be ideal. But it does act as a monastery as well, which somewhat helps. But this stage with 2 relics already picked up and a 3rd one here and a 4th one here. Very close to the base of Wham. Should be defendable. He technically has 6 stables. Only producing out of effectively 3 at a time though. But the number of lances are really starting to build up here nicely for Wham. That's going to pose a problem because DeMusliM hasn't reached the castle age just yet. We'll be getting there soon, but obviously relying on feudal age units and the villagers brought out to wall up this central sacred site again. The amount of gold that will be coming in passively for Wham is pretty astounding. Let's take a look at that actually. Well, let's take a look at the Wololo. Oh, he might... No, he won't get that. Let's take a look at the income per minute. 800, 900 gold per minute almost. I think Wham needs to transition those villages off of gold because getting 2 relic gold income and also the sacred sites. 1 in so far, sacred site. Middle one we're going to be captured. And the one on the west because DeMusliM had to retreat. He has teched into some spearmen, so that'll be useful for him. Might be man at arms to play here for Wham. He's going to lose quite a lot of HP on these knights, but he's taking the fight whilst the feudal age units. Again, the feudal age spearmen still do a heck of a lot of damage. Charge attack comes in from the Lancer. The Lancers come out on top, and this is going to be a problem for DeMusliM. Has to be pushed off that food eco. We get another charge attack on the spears. DeMusliM going to be fighting it though. Those spearmen will be taken out, and their sacred sites, all 3 of them have been capped now. DeMusliM on a timer. Gold income going to be pretty insane here for Wham. He's spending all of it though, that's the key issue. He's literally spending every bit of gold he's got. All on castle age aggression here now for Wham. Might be overrun. Relic is being brought in by DeMusliM. A couple of villagers heading down the south towards those barriers, but they're unprotected. Those are going to get sniped, and that's going to be painful for him. We're going to have a close eye on that actually. That's going to be terrible for DeMusliM. The Lance is going to wrap around and get so many kills just on the charge itself, and now the villagers try and run away. They do have wheelbarrow. Does he have textiles? He doesn't. So a couple of lances will be going down. Prelate being brought out. Wololo coming out. And that prelate does get taken down. So no relic in play yet for DeMusliM. Villagers, so much idle time there for DeMusliM. 15 to 16 minutes onto the clock, and the castle age units here for Wham really piling on the pressure. 2 knights will be going down. Look at the Lancer numbers, even the spamming from these 2 barracks of spearmen. Not going to be enough, and DeMusliM's ecos are kind of in shambles here. We'll be picking up 1 relic. Will he manage to make it though, because the Lancers are heading there. They take a charge attack. I think the relic will be deposited in that Regnitz Cathedral, but it might be a little bit too little too late, because the army here for DeMusliM, this is his last stand. He doesn't really have much else, and the army does go down. There's a lot of Lancers there for Wham. These guys are going to run riot here, 10 of them. Once he takes the spears out, only 2 knights will remain. The spears get taken out. This is a concern, because it just feels like Wham going to be flooding in units now. And there's no real farming eco. In fact, it doesn't look like DeMusliM has any villages on food. That's the big concern. Food is a problem here. No farming transition. Doesn't have the wood for that. And there it is. DeMusliM taps out of game number 1. Wham in pole position. As we head into game number 2, DeMusliM will want a response, but Wham will want to try and double down. It will be match point. It is a best of 3. Let's head over to game number 2. Welcome to game number 2 between Wham and DeMusliM. We're going over to Altai, with Wham playing in the southwest corner of the map in blue as the Mongols. And he'll be facing up against the Chinese, played by DeMusliM, representing Team Liquid in red in the northeast of the map. And being Altai, this is a bit of a scary proposition for Wham, because I've seen DeMusliM play Chinese a lot, and especially on Altai, and it seems to be his go-to civilization on Altai. And he really packs a punch with his civilization. The Chinese, very versatile, can be aggressive, but also if they can be left to be boomed and get those villager counts running high with the Song dynasty and multiple town centers, they could really pack a punch as the game goes on. And the Mongols will have a job to do. They'll look to be aggressive, I suspect, to try and punish any sort of big boom. And as we see, a lot of sheep being brought home by DeMusliM. Quite a nice play there. Does have the 1 scout, and we'll be looking to get that fast uptime to the feudal age. We shall see if he goes for the Imperial Academy, which is typically done nowadays. Of course, the Imperial Academy can train more Imperial officials, boosting up the amount of resources being brought home and being deposited. As we can see here, the Imperial official are hard at work, supervising all the workers here, making sure that they are not putting a foot out of line on that mill. And we do see a nice spawn here though for Wham on that wood line and gold. Had to move his town centre forward a little bit. Actually quite far forward, all things considered, as the berries at the back and the Ovu at the back as well, getting that barracks up, maybe looking to have an outpost rush, a couple of spearmen in the Dark Age. The trouble for Wham is he's going to find it very hard to punish this because, I mean, it's quite a nice choke point here. A tower here for DeMusliM pretty much just blocks this whole entrance to his base. And it's not that much of a wood investment to wall up here towards the west side entrance of his base. As he does get that little signal there, the Khan being harassing of those villagers just somewhat. Has a nice back gold for protection as well. So most resources are pretty protected here for DeMusliM. It is wood that is kind of the issue, but if he can get a couple of static defenses, he will be fine here, DeMusliM, to really boom away. We shall see if he decides to do that, if he decides to go aggressive himself. 2 spearmen coming out for the Mongols, heading that way now. Villager going across as well, so likely to be an outpost. Coming up, let's just see if he's placed any foundations. Won't do so until he gets closer, I'm sure. But look at this. Look at the food income coming in for DeMusliM under the supervision of that Imperial official. Going to the next stage pretty soon, you feel. Really, it's all to do here for the Mongols. Needs to be aggressive, do a bit of damage, and then maybe go for a fast castle. That's often the play for the Mongols. 3 villagers on that wood line, and it is going to be an outpost. Going to be trying to keep this position open here. Won't deny much in the way of resources, at least for now, but would deny a second town centre expansion by kind of covering that stone. But there is a stone pile here for the taking for DeMusliM, as we see a Barbican being dropped there. Wants to protect that gold. Of course, he wants to protect against early aggression from the Mongols. No surprise there, really. Would have been a bit too greedy to go for the Imperial Academy, as we see now. A village being placed down to try and increase that population space very nicely. Can be building that Barbican with 3 villagers, trying to get that up quickly because the 2 spearmen are there being annoying. Our 2 spearmen there guarding the villager. Villagers being sent from the woodline or the village as well to build up that Barbican. Wants to get up with 6 villagers. Now the Chinese villagers do build fast as it is. That uptime will be very, very fast, and Wham still stuck in the Dark Age for now at least. All villagers hands on deck on the food. There's a Barbican in the sun. It'll be interesting to see if DeMusliM transitions all the villagers to gold or not. Does appear to be the case. Looks like it's going to be a fast castle behind this for DeMusliM as well. He's not messing around. Doesn't really feel like he needs the wood at this point even. Might need to chop some stragglers if he gets cut off from this wood, but should be able to make it out there again. We shall see if Wham decides to invest in any more outposts, because that initial outpost doesn't actually do all that much for him. And that's a bit of a concern. Hasn't done much damage or delaying at all, really, at this stage. But it just comes out maybe to build a stable. We shall see. Is going to be the deer stones as expected. The landmark of choice for the Mongols. Okay, DeMusliM does actually take the villagers off the gold to get that Imperial Academy and that Song Dynasty, so the villager count will start to really quite quicken up for the Chinese. Not going to be fast castle there for DeMusliM. Feels confident he can boom away a little bit here with the Chinese, and why wouldn't you? Hasn't really faced that much in terms of aggression just yet. The outpost is there. Does DeMusliM even see that? He doesn't actually even know it's there. It's not even causing him a problem. He'll know about it now, though. Villagers go towards the east side now. Again, still not really being pushed off any resource here. And gonna get that Song Dynasty pretty fast. 6 villagers rushing up that Imperial Academy. 3 villagers go back to gold. 3 villagers going to be transitioning to wood. So we'll see how he plays this out. Does he actually produce units here? I suspect he will. We shall see. There's that stable there for Wham. Getting double production of horsemen. So we'll be looking to get 4 horsemen on the field in the feudal age. Well, there's still going to be Dark Age units, but once he does get to the feudal age, that is, he's only building with 3 villagers, so we'll take some time there. These are going to be early horsemen. Will be upgraded to the full horseman, I'm sure, once he does get to the feudal age, but not going to be there just yet. But you're maybe going on the right side to get an outpost. The concern for Wham is that the outposts take a long time to build, and If DeMusliM decides to get a counter outpost himself, his outpost will just go quicker. I suspect that'll be the case because you'll see the villagers now. The scout was in the position he needs to be, and the villagers, will they react for DeMusliM? In fact, no, he's just going to get an archery range, and he'll be able to get Zhuge out. He might even supervise this, get the archery range out, archers out quickly, and if he does, this outpost won't go up. Look how long it's taking that one village to build it. There are horsemen in play though, so the horsemen could become an issue. There are barracks going down though, so spears will popping out. There it is, getting the upgrade as well, and yeah, I'm not sure if this outpost will live for too long, and be something that I'll be able to deal with quite nicely. The horsemen start to try and pressure a little bit. A couple of spearmen are going to be needed here for DeMusliM. It is going to be the archers though, not Zhuge at this point. Trouble for Wham is that the Chinese can really start to produce those units quickly. As you can see, the Imperial official actually supervising that barracks for now, getting the upgrade in nice and quickly. And if he can push off the outpost, in fact he's going to take villagers to try and rush it down, and looks like it is going to work. Villagers coming out with their shears. Going to torch down the outpost quite nicely. A couple of archers in behind, a couple of spears as well, engaging in the fight. The outpost does go up. A couple of units garrison inside, but the village is going to wrap around and just take that outpost down. It's on fire. The village will go down as well, and Wham's aggression is kind of at a halt here. Of course, it has forced some idle time. Because the village is still alive. There it goes now. Spears will be enough here. Spears and archers for DeMusliM will be enough to deal with this. As we see the first few Zhuge pop out as well. Look at Wham's gold, food rather. Food? I mean wood. He's going for a second town centre to get the food. He's going for that deer patch on the west side and looking for that second town centre expansion. He needs to catch up on the village count, that's for sure. The Song dynasty increases the villager production speed by 35%. Well, it reduces the speed at least it takes to produce villagers by 35%, and so the village count will be quite high there. 33 for DeMusliM versus 28 for Wham. Wham getting that second talent center, who will be catching up relatively soon. Issue is that the economy looking quite nice here for DeMusliM. The Imperial officials hard at work. Get the feeling just with 3 units garrisoned inside there, DeMusliM might try and torch this outpost down. Villagers are being attacked though. He needs to get hold of this wood line, that's for sure. Can't afford to lose that wood line. 6 villagers on gold. Wham does have, at the back of his mind, Castle Age perhaps. The Khan is taking the fight against the spearmen. Not a good it's not a good fight for him at all. You see the spears actually rushing down the outpost now, looking to actually take the Khan first. Maybe not, just to get the other side of the outpost first. Make sure the villager can't escape. The Zhuge in behind. Just 3 or 2 archers there doing enough. The Zhuge doing a lot of damage. There's the outpost. The outposts have been nerfed. It's 750 HP rather than 1000. It used to be 1000 HP and pretty tanky. Zhuge continue the chase, and looks like DeMusliM just rushed down those palisade walls. Really secure that income of wood. And the deer patch is secure now. Looks good here for DeMusliM. Wham's going to struggle here, you feel, unless he gets to the castle age, can do something quickly. Outpost going on that stone mine. DeMusliM looking to expand his economy even further. Second town centre is up and running now for Wham though, so village count will start to even out a little bit, 36 to 34. You see the evening out already. And the Khan perishes on that wood line, but the villagers are quite heavy on stone. Looks like a second town centre will be coming out for DeMusliM pretty quickly. Got plenty of gold. Could afford the upgrades, he's not getting the eco upgrades just yet though. Rather surprising, got plenty of gold to do that with. We're getting that second town centre very quickly. 11 villagers on that stone mine as he sends his Zhuge and spears forward. Looking to do some damage, he'll spot out that second town centre that Wham has, sending the units directly to the deer to see what he can find. He'll spot the town centre. We'll be in for a bit of a rude awakening. He sees it now. He heads back. No choice there, really, he's about to head back. DeMusliM almost has 300 stone there he needs. Just one more drop off and that'll be enough, and he's got the wood he needs. Be interesting to see where he decides to put that town centre. This could be a nice spot near the berries, but will he place it around the back? Near the deer, gold, and the wood. There is an outpost there that sneakily went up. We didn't notice that happening. It's going to go further here on the right side, maybe towards this deer. Just wants to keep the economy nice and condensed here at this point. Zhuge heading around the east side, looking to see if they can get some value. Look at the number of villagers in gold, 10 there. Wham. Really prioritising getting that second age up, and that will be happening soon as the girl moves closer to that woodline edge. It will be the step road out. No real surprises there, but look at this. Walls coming up for DeMusliM. He's going to boom hard behind this, and the Zhugnu should be able to hold their own pretty nicely. DeMusliM will be pretty far behind on that castle age, especially with the two-town center Song Dynasty, but once the villager count really starts to peak up for him, that'll translate into a huge economy. The army here now under pressure. The Aoe4 are going to be pressured. Looks like the units are going to surround the barracks, and that's going to be taken down. Doesn't even need a ram at this point. Just completely surrounds the barracks. There's no retreat. There's no units on the field here for Wham. We'll be losing a production building, and that's kind of painful because that could have been used to get man-at-arms. Instead, it won't be getting anything because it will perish, that building. Khan's heading out on his lonesome. Our stage timing will be coming up there for Wham. Village count 51 for DeMusliM, 48, and that's going to be increasing because of the two-town center Song Dynasty. Ram is now starting to be committed to. There's the castle age for Wham. Be queuing up some units, I suspect. Being fully walled here for DeMusliM, pretty important. Is actually extending his walls on the right side. We'll have access to that deer patch and berries. A nice bit of expansion there. Going for more conservative walls on this west side. Can't blame him. Don't want to overexpand and overreach here. As Ram will be taking down that Aoe4. Wham will need to deal with this actually. He needs to keep some units alive and kicking here. The good thing for DeMusliM with this a little bit of a force at the front is that it means he can boom quite nicely, get up to the castle age himself, and Wham needs to take care of this before he can do any damage. And even if he was to head forward there, Wham can't get any value because DeMusliM is pretty much fully walled at this point. And Wham's going to struggle here. He needs to get units. And he needs them fast, and the production buildings are not in particularly great spots. Does have a nice access to gold though. Struggling for the food, having to go to the pocket economies on the west. Has moved his town centre though. In a much more favourable position, but now the Ram is going to be starting to work on those pastures. Ram's taking quite a bit of damage from the Zhugnu in the end. The DeMusliM may be reaching a bit too far forward into the cookie jar. He's moving further forward and has to back off. Town centre fire is doing some damage here, as you see. Now the astronomical clock tower being built by DeMusliM, looking to get that castle age up. And the thing is, the village is built so fast for the Chinese, he's not going to be waiting around too much in feudal age. These will become castle age units very quickly, and that could be a very big problem for Wham, because his castle age kind of boost, or power spike if you will, hasn't managed to achieve anything. Behind this, DeMusliM's going to have an incredibly strong economy, 66 villagers to 56, and rising. The Man-at-Arm's going to try and head forward, try and get some value, but they're going to be met with the wolves. And there's nothing that Wham can do about that at this stage. Looking to get some sacred sites though. It looks like it's more of a capping of the sacred site whilst en route to the relic. Wham will have a bit of a lead on getting the relics, but I don't think it necessarily matters when you're the Chinese with this amount of booming. Boom is so hard for the Chinese, they can pump out units very quickly in the castle age now, especially with the supervision. We shall see what he decides to go for. It's going to be palace guards. As the man-at-arms, the heavy units head forward for Wham, trying to break in and do some damage. The question is, will he be able to? The Zhugnu here still staying alive, holding their own. Looking to take some of the gold villages out, and this is nice by DeMusliM. He knows he can't get all that much more value from the Zhugnu, not against man-at-arms, so he decides to take out about 4 or 5 villages there. They will be lost now, but the man-at-arms heading forward for Wham. It's going to be crossbows here for DeMusliM to defend, but the crossbows being caught out, spearmen heading into the fight as well. The hand cannon from the town centre doing a bit of damage, especially from the outpost as well, so man-at-arms will get some good value, but they will be perishing very soon, and once those go down, that's kind of the big push there for Wham. A bit underwhelming, 15 minutes on the clock. Shaman are picking up a relic or two though. Going to be man-at-arms and lancers. You get the feeling that the army here for DeMusliM going to be starting to pump out. If he can supervise a couple of archery rangers, he'll be absolutely fine. See the crossbows coming out, and he's going to wall this again, so buys himself some more time. Nester Beast popping out in the meantime as well. Gotta like DeMusliM's position. Arthur trying to break through on the west side. DeMusliM in fact is actually heading forward. Feels confident in his ability to take a decent fight here. He's looking to get the balanced projectiles. That's going to working wonders for those crossbows. As he heads towards that fight, the Lancers engage against the Spearmen. That's not ideal. Nester B's in the back as well. This is a fight that DeMusliM might just straight out win, especially with the crossbows in behind. The spears acting as a meat shield and a couple of palace guards of his own. Aoe's at risk, especially as well the blacksmith. Heading towards that wood line. This is a big concern for Wham. He's being pushed. Strangely enough, it's the Chinese being the aggressor in this matchup when it's the Mongols on the field. You expect it to be them. There's going to be a springald build. He wants to get rid of the nest of bees. Looks like the army is just going to be diving in there for DeMusliM. Wants to try and reduce the speed of that building of the springald. Does delay it somewhat. Allows some reinforcements to come in as well. Sacred Site has been capped on the right side there for the Mongols, so good amount of gold will be coming in, but the eco so strong here for DeMusliM. Let's take a look. 94 villagers versus 66, and that's going to keep building up. 2 springalds on the field. Nest of Bees taking some damage. These are clock tower Nest of Bees. The clock tower so strong. It increases the health of these guys. 50% of the siege, 50% of health on the siege engines. As you can see, it was tanking a lot of damage from the springalds even. See a blacksmith trying to make a way, get away. The crossbow's going to try and take out the man-at-arms, and a couple of crossbows added into the mix by Wham. Doesn't have a mangonel though. Would be ideal for his position, but can't afford it just yet, I feel. Or could afford it, just doesn't have the capability of building it. His army's busy right now. There's another nest of bees popping out. I know it's the same one, in fact, he's kept it alive for a while now. And constantly being pushed here for Wham. The economy struggling, and there's a keep drop. We've seen this before in previous games. DeMusliM getting a massive keep in a strong position. That could be a game-winning keep because it's very difficult for Wham to push that back. Doesn't have any trebuchets. Does have the food, does have the wood and gold to do so though. Has 3 relics and a sacred site. Needs to get a trebuchet. Has 3 relics and a sacred site and maybe a dream. He needs to deal with this forward position that DeMusliM's slowly building. He's even taking the wood there on the front line. I'm not entirely sure what that is, if that's a boar or what. It must be a couple of deer carcasses or something. It's taking some food there. In any case, production buildings are on fire. 2 trebuchets being built on the field there for Wham. That might put a bit of pressure on that keep, but again, this buys so much time there for DeMusliM. This keep is just more of a distraction, and a second keep going down, and that's going to be tough to deal with on that main capital town centre. If this goes up, which it will, because the villagers are not being pressured and they just build super fast, and yeah, DeMusliM is booming hard behind this, and this is going to be an issue for the Mongols. How can he deal with this? I'm not sure he can. Wham struggling in game number 2. DeMusliM looking to push this all the way is set to a 3rd game, and it looks like he's going to be in position to do that. Keeper's lost a lot of health. There are 3 trebuchets there after all, but army heading forward. 2 nest of bees on the field there for DeMusliM, pushing on those production buildings. Trebuchets unpacked. They start to take down some of the HP on that keep. Again, this just buys time for DeMusliM. If nothing else, this lets the boom take effect, and you see the military count really translating into that. 44 for DeMusliM, 41 for Wham. This army is so powerful for DeMusliM. So difficult to cope with the Mongols because he needs the siege. He's getting 5 trebuchets. Does take down, or is almost about to take down that keep, but there's another keep behind it. More importantly, there's crossbows, palace guards, spears, and nest of bees he has to contend with. A lot of his population and military population being put into siege here. Forced into it, springalds there, going to be picked apart by the spears and palace guards, you feel. Crossbows in behind, springald does go down. Man-at-arms heading there for Wham to try and defend, but the crossbows in behind for DeMusliM going to be too strong. I think there's a monk there with a relic. Could try for a Wololo, but it's a bit risky. 2 nest of bees going to fire off, and the trebuchets are pretty unprotected now. And this could be the beginning of the end, and this second game for Wham is going to struggle here. A lot of the siege going down, and there it is. He taps out. DeMusliM pushes this set to a game number 3. Wham's Mongols falls under the pressure of the Chinese on all tie from DeMusliM. As we head on to game number 3, the match point. This 3rd game will decide who ends up in the final, the grand final of the September Weekly. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 3. It's going to be played on Basin, with Wham playing in the south corner of the map in blue as the Abbasid Dynasty and DeMusliM playing in red as the Rus. It's going to be fantastic and a finale to this set, and don't forget, whoever wins this set will then end up going to play in the grand final up against either Vortex or Marine Lord, and I will be covering that game as well, so be sure to stick around on the channel if you're interested in following the tournament through. In this third game of this best of three, we've got the Abbasid Dynasty versus the Rus. Interesting matchup. The Rus can be relatively aggressive in the feudal age. Of course, you've got that little bit of a mini game going on. We can try and get as much of the bounty as possible are the Rus. As you can see, we do have 15 bounty already, not very much. 2 scouts on the field. We are early days into the game so far. No third scout just yet. Actually, no, I take that back. There is a third scout just popping out now. Looking to pick up some of these deer pack, that's for sure, and a wolf and a sheep. And we want to get that bounty to get up to the next stage and even potentially get that wheelbarrow. Often wheelbarrow is an interesting or a good upgrade that they often get there, the Rus, early on from the hunting cabin. Of course, they need to make sure they get enough bounty to be able to safely do that, because they don't really want to be mining gold if they can avoid it to get to the feudal age. There's a House of Wisdom being built there by Wham, as expected. That is the age-up building. That's the one and only landmark, apart from the capital town centre, that the Abbasid Dynasty get. All the wings there will be enabling them to get to the next stage. Often, I mean, we can pretty much preempt it. It's going to be the economic wing with the fresh foodstuffs, reducing the villager cost by 50%, as we now see the town centre going to be firing off at those wolves. There'll be a bit of denial of the bounty there for Wham. Good amount of deer pack being taken by DeMusliM. Gets the second deer pack with a lot of wolves in behind as well. Very, very, very nice. 85 bounty though. It hasn't really climbed on the bounty count. That would be a bit disappointing. Quite a few villages idle there on the food. That's a bit of a awkward situation. Does have 3 scouts. Is actually going to bring that scout back home now. Quite a lot of sheep there, but a lot of idle time being caused. Holy smokes, 11 villagers there. Does have 3 wolves being brought to that town centre. We'll be increasing that bounty. Taking the sheep now as well. Each sheep gets you 5 bounty, so that bounty will be rising. Is investing in that wheelbarrow. Doesn't have the gold he needs to age up though. That could be a concern. But the wolves should be giving 25 gold per piece, so should be managing it just about. Yep, just about, with 2 gold to spare. We'll be aging up with the Golden Gate, no doubt. That is indeed the case. And we're going with 6 villagers on the Golden Gate. And we see the economic wing being researched there for the Abbasid Dynasty. Heading out to this deer pack again on the right side. And now heading towards the south, we'll be picking up another wolf. Good amount of bounty, 265. It's really tier 2 that you want to unlock at very minimum for the Rus, and DeMusliM has met that target in this stage of the game. Will it be a second town centre play here by Wham? We shall see. Righty. Things often a bit slow on basin at times, but we're already at the 5-minute mark almost. 2 scouts heading out there for Wham, just to see what's what. And let's take a look at the board position, because of course the Rus can sometimes get that second town centre rather sneakily, not having to mine any stone. They can use the Golden Gate to buy the stone that they need, and it's a very covert operation. The opponent won't really know about it, really. The only way to tell is by judging how many villagers are on that wood line. There is a boar here on the west side, and it appears on the east side as well. It certainly looks like the west side boar is a bit more appealing, especially with the golden wood there, even a relic too. We shall see if villagers do head out that way. A couple of villagers are going to get a wooden fortress in a nice spot there. We'll be boosting that wood coming into that lumber camp by 20%. Wooden fortress in a nice spot there, protecting the front of the base. Saves his wood villagers from being raided as well quite nicely, as we see quite a few villagers going forward. There's 6 of them. Maybe to get a second town centre, in fact 8 of them. He's going to go for the boar on the right side, interestingly enough. Rather curious choice to go to that side. But it is what it is. Will we see a second town centre coming out for the Abbasid Dynasty? That is indeed the case. 4 villagers on that stone pile. As you can see, DeMusliM has 150 stone already. He is looking to get that second town centre, buying the stone he needs. So well, I'm just being annoying with the boar. He's actually aggroed it, and we shall see if DeMusliM can take this out without any problems, without losing a villager at all. Scout there, just being a pest there. Might lose a villager here, DeMusliM. Not necessarily because of the boar, but because of the scout. The 3 scouts are going to chase that down, but I would want to try and pick off that villager if he can. Won't manage it though. And pretty nicely played that by DeMusliM. It's actually Spearman coming out though for Wham. Maybe look to pick off that villager. Going to be focusing on the scouts though. It's not a fight that DeMusliM can really take. DeMusliM just microing that villager quite nicely. Will potentially lose a scout. No, he manages to survive. Another Spearman pops out though. Actually pressurizing this quite nicely with the 2 spears. And the third or second scout coming in as well. Oh, that Spearman not really getting involved. Doesn't appear like that villager. No, the villager might go down there. Yeah, it does lose a villager. The garrisoning aside means the spears will go down. At least one. Takes out the scout. Overall, not too terrible there for DeMusliM. Wham did what he could to try and delay things. Hasn't got his second town center running just yet. It's actually collecting 390 stone. Holy smokes, he's opting for a 3 town center play. You see the town center being placed here on the right side, on the sacred site, and the berries. Not sure. Yeah, I mean, he's getting the berries at least. Looks like it's going to be a 3rd town center coming out for Wham as well. Struggling on the wood for a bit though. Won't be too much of a problem though. Of course, benefiting from the fresh food stuff technology, making the villages cost half price. So we'll be booming away. I don't think villagers on gold here for DeMusliM. Without a mining camp. Wait, 740 wood. It looks like DeMusliM is opting for a 3rd town center himself, maybe on the other board, and that is pretty greedy, but it's going to pull it off, and that's going to be a lot of food income though. That's going to be needed to maintain that. In fact, it might not be going for the boar. Might be going a bit more defensive, or a little bit more protective rather, on the berries and the deer and the wood, and a very nice spot there. Building it with 12 villages. We'll get that up in no time. The village count going to be looking very nice there for DeMusliM, equaling out that 3rd town center play for the Abbasid dynasty. Speaking of which, the question is, where will that 3rd town center go for the Abbasid dynasty? He's got the stone for it. Villagers are on the move somewhere, apparently. There it is. On the front position, on the berries and the wood line. A bit more condensed in terms of the eco positioning. Means that there's more pocket ecos spread out here for DeMusliM. We'll be able to expand and make that a bit easier for himself to gather those resources off the map. Don't forget, DeMusliM's paying full price for his villagers. Wham's only paying half price. Will it be professional scouts coming in for DeMusliM? Proper scouts just keeping an eye on the berry patches. They spot the 3rd town center play now though. Question from here is that, do both players go for that castle age, or do they go aggressive in the feudal age? Look at the food count coming in for DeMusliM, very nice. It's going to be because of the boar. That boar food income is pretty strong, it has to be said. Scouts at the back will spot out that double stable. He will know that the Abbasid dynasty are looking to be aggressive in the feudal age. And will DeMusliM match that? I suspect he will. Has a stable of his own. Double archery range as well. Scouts getting good intel. Refreshment of that lumber camp. Coming in there for Wham. But despite 3 town centers running for Wham, despite paying full price, look at the amount of food he's got. Pretty impressive. It's going to be stable, double barracks for the Abbasid dynasty. Going for the horseman spear approach. It's going to be the knights and archers for DeMusliM. It's actually adding barracks as well, so spears could be coming out. There'll be an archery range coming out for Wham as well, so both players really mixing it up in terms of army. Going for a spread of units. This could come down to just who can produce more and positioning as well as micro here. I get the feeling the fact that the villages are half price there for Wham should be able to produce more in terms of at least food cost units, but look at the food income, pretty impressive there. Probably because of the boar. And also expanding to the deer carcasses as well. So looking strong here for DeMusliM, has to be said. At least from a resource point of view, and looks like Wham is trying to wall up here. Trying to be a bit more defensive, but the thing is, he doesn't necessarily have an economy advantage at this stage. Not at least in terms of villages. Let's just take a look at that actually. DeMusliM has 55, 52 for Wham, so It's not really in his favour necessarily to just play the defensive. Although the food savings he'll be getting from the cheaper villagers will certainly be helping the situation. The spears being picked up against the archers, and that's a concern for Wham, because if he loses the spears, it means the knights and scouts can do a bit more damage than they normally would have. DeMusliM wins that first initial engagement. Nice number of archers there. Now, of course, the wood income for DeMusliM and the Rus relatively strong, especially with the boosting of 20% by the wooden fortress. All these things really do add up. Looks like Wham might be opting for the castle age. Look at the food income he's got. It's rather surprising. So DeMusliM is doubling down. He's really spending the resources he's got. He's also saving a little bit in the bank there. Just keeping an eye on things. As I say that, it just spends another batch of food, and the army on the west side for Wham going to see if he can pick off some villagers. Well, a few horsemen. Looks like certainly Wham was considering going to the castle age, but he just spent a lot of food, so perhaps not. Horsemen might be able to pick off a couple of villagers here. Bit of a raid. Does DeMusliM have textiles? He doesn't. He's actually getting it now though. Might lose a villager, just one so far, but loses a horseman, maybe two. Not sure if it's worth it in the end. Loses two horsemen, and now if the engagement happens with the knights, these guys won't be able to take a good fight at all. Especially with these spearmen coming in to defend the main base. Overall, trying to be aggressive here. Wham. DeMusliM committing a lot into the feudal age, spent all the food again. Does certainly look like Wham is feeling towards going to that castle age. Just needs a bit more gold. I guess the gold income would be ready to go up though. Look at the army heading forward for DeMusliM. Look at the number of archers. DeMusliM might have a window of opportunity here, because if Wham clicks up, he will have invested a lot of resources into that castle age. And we've said it before on this channel, we'll say it again. When you age up, that's often when you're most vulnerable, and DeMusliM will sense that. Probably doesn't get the feeling his opponent is being too aggressive. He sees the walls as well, so he could probably guess that his opponent is going for a castle age, or at least some sort of greed. And this kind of greed that DeMusliM will want to punish as he heads forward with the archers. And the problem for Wham, he doesn't have the army in his position that he wants it. Only a couple of horsemen. That's going to be not going to be enough, anywhere near enough to deal with this. He's getting a couple of raids here on the right side, a couple of spearmen pressuring off some villagers. This is a big force he's going to have to deal with, and DeMusliM might even look to try and get siege engineering. That's indeed a case. That's exactly what he's doing. He's getting that from the blacksmith right now, and we'll be able to drop some rams relatively soon. The walls have been denied, kept them open. Couple of spearmen, couple of those archers there for Wham. We're heading closer towards the base, but it's going to be limited in the amount of damage you can do, really. Especially with the archers there being produced. Look at the number of horsemen. I don't feel that's going to be enough there. Wham is committing to that castle age, needs to hold on for as long as he can, and as soon as he does get to the castle age, DeMuslim's really going to ramp up the pressure, because DeMuslim's going pretty heavy feudal age here. He's not interested in the castle age, not yet. Not as the Rus. Getting the first ram out. Knight's going to head in, get a charge attack on that horseman. The horseman goes down. The wood is being idled there for Wham. That's not going to be good for his production. That is for sure. Second round going to be put down as well. Wham will see that. Wham will be concerned. The trouble for Wham is he doesn't have the most amount of food in the world. When it does get to the next stage, he's going to need to pump out those castle age units. The castle age units is what's going to save him. Maybe a mangonel or two. That could certainly help. Now the case is that the Bastardensi can build those mangonels on the field, and that could be what changes things. Couple of spearmen sent forward. They'll be losing their lives as two rams are on the field now. I think you get the feeling that DeMusliM is going to start to push it. Don't forget there are only two landmarks to deal with. The capital town centre and the House of Wisdom. Here comes the pressure. There's that castle age uptime there for Wham. DeMusliM going to keep on the pressure. These town centres don't live very long anymore. Quite easy to go down to the torch damage. Will we see production? Yep, we're going to be knights. Going to stick with the archers for now though. Yeah, Wham struggling on gold. That is the big concern. Doesn't actually have many villages on gold. Oh, no, he does. I take that back. He's got 23. He's got plenty of gold. It's DeMusliM that's struggling on gold, but he doesn't really need the gold at this stage. Wham needs to just pump out as many units as he can. Does have a mangonel on the field as we expected, but there are knights there that might try and take that out. And that's concerned. There's nothing there to protect that mangonel. That could be a mistake, and it does look to be a mistake as the knights head in. Not Wham going to lose that mangonel very cheaply, and that is a big loss. Those mangonels don't come cheaply. Another mangonel might be taken down by two knights. There's no villagers on hand to repair, and if he loses that another mangonel, that could be the game. That's a big loss there. 2 mangonels going down for almost nothing. A couple of units, a couple of horsemen trying to pick off the reinforcements, not doing too badly, but this is what he has to contend with. The number of archers and spears on the front line is looking very overwhelming. These archers are still technically Butel's units. Does have the iron undermesh coming in now, but relatively late, all things considered. As now the capital town centre is under pressure by 3 rams. The number of archers is going to be overwhelming here. Wham doesn't have the military he needs. He invested in the castle age, got too many villages on gold, doesn't have the eager balance he needs, and now DeMusliM, he smells blood. He's heading further towards, and even fighting underneath the town centre, he'll be able to clear up the archers, and you get the feeling after clearing up the archers, that will be game, set, and match. Trying to get the market there. Wham trying to sell or buy food, really. That's what he needs to do. He needs to pump out units one way or another, but he's lost a lot here. Likely to need some lancers, likely to need some man-at-arms. Going for spears instead. Not sure why he's going... Oh, not just DeMuslims. No, it's Wham, it is Wham. Doesn't have barracks, actually. I'll take that back. Only just the one there on the front lines. He's really struggling here. A couple of knights will be popping out from the 2 stables. The third one being built, but it's a bit too late because the capital town centre will be going down, and DeMusliM then will start to focus on that House of Wisdom, the last remaining landmark. Archers will pick off the villages that are popping out. Village count 84 for Wham, 92 for DeMusliM. That's not the picture though, that's not the key issue. The key issue is that Wham has 6 military on the field, whereas DeMusliM has 50 odd. And that is a big problem. More rams being built up by DeMusliM. Smells blood. Looking to now take that House of Wisdom. And I'm not sure this is something that Wham can hold on to. Not with that number of archers on the field and more being added. Huge amounts of Feudal Age armor coming in for DeMusliM, spending everything. Could even afford Castle Age soon if he so wishes, because he just needs to unqueue some of those early knights. But he's going full ham on that. He doesn't need to hold production at all. Doesn't feel the need to. He's getting good pressure here. And if he takes down the production buildings, that'll be the end for Wham. And you get the feeling that Wham doesn't have a return here. He does have lancers, but the spear on hand. It's really man-at-arms you feel that he needed here, Wham. But he's not going to be able to get those man-at-arms very quickly, just from one barracks. Here's the big fight. The archer's going to be taking down a lot of those knights. Knights and spears going to be acting as meat shield. There isn't that much of a meat shield there for DeMusliM, has to be said. Going to take out the veteran... Sorry, the regular archers. These aren't even veteran, I'm afraid. The archer's going to be taking a lot of casualties to the lancers. The mass is looking pretty decent. Even the mass of these archers still dealing a lot of damage, as you can see. Just the sheer number, the brute force, the 21 spear, the 21 archers do so much damage, and there's a keep being positioned there for Wham, trying to get a defensive keep in position. I'm not sure if that's going to go up. The village is going to be sniped by the archers. There's not enough military to defend it. 37 for DeMusliM, 2 military on the field for Wham. Those are those 2 knights that are now fleeing for their lives. One of them is about to die, and look at the archers. They're going to head towards that keep, but not in time, because Wham taps out and DeMusliM comes back from 1-0 down to win this semi-final set, and he's going to head into the grand final for this Road to Red Bull Wololo Legacy September weekly. And the question is who will he be facing up against? Will it be Vortex? Will it be Marine Lord? If you want to find out and you want to watch that other semi-final set, do click the end card screen there on your screen on the right side there now. Take you to that set. And we'll be heading into the finals after that. I hope you guys enjoyed this casted game, and a special thank you to all the YouTube channel members, all the Twitch subscribers, and also the Patreons, and just generally everyone watching the content. Hope you're enjoying it, and I'm absolutely loving casting these Age of Empires 4 games. Take care, and see you on the next semi-final game.